All right, folks, good evening, WNBA and women's basketball fans, and welcome in to the WNBA 365 Network, year 24/7, 365 comprehensive home for everything revolving around the WNBA and the rest of the women's basketball universe. Back with you folks tonight, beginning semi-final coverage with both game ones of the 2016 WNBA postseason and the semifinals for the league getting underway this evening, folks. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, alongside a established panel of our good buddy Marquez Anderson from StarsHoops.net, joining us from the Bayou State, over on the campus of Louisiana State University down there in Louisiana, and Tanisha Stewart joining us up from Los Angeles. Cal McClure joining you folks here from Studio 171 in San Diego. We are right now working on trying to get Crystal Thomas into our hang-up. She's having some problems on her phone right now, coming back from the Walter Pyramid on the campus over at CSU Long Beach. Shorty and Marquez, good to see you guys up for the time being. How's it going tonight?
Hey.
Hey, hello, everyone.
And like normal, folks, of course, Facebook, Twitter, live chat box, as always, open for you folks. So feel free to hit us up over on our Facebook page, over at facebook.com/WNBA365, or hit us up over on our Twitter account at WNBA365, at Calimac3, at ShortyMamba24, at OMarquez, or at Pup1010 with the hashtag WNBA365. Or if you're going to be viewing us live tonight, folks, hit up the live chat box with your questions, comments, or concerns about tonight's games or anything else in regards to the league or the network when we have a break in the action. With that, guys, before we get to the scores from tonight's games and all the other big news from around the WNBA tonight, guys, of course, the 2017 WNBA Draft Lottery for the 2017 draft, brought to you by State Farm, was held at halftime of the Mercury and Lynx game. And the San Antonio Stars, with the 442 possible chances out of 1,000, win the draft lottery this year, the first time in Utah and or San Antonio franchise history they have won the draft lottery, with the Storm winning back-to-back picks in 2014 and 2015. They used to get Jewel Lloyd in 2015 and Breanna Stewart this past April. The Washington Mystics, who had the fourth most chance of landing the number one spot, will pick second, followed by the Dallas Wings and the LA Sparks via Connecticut, each of whom had 227 chances to earn the top pick. We'll select third and fourth, respectfully. At this point, the overall order for round one, folks, goes as follows. Top four will go San Antonio, Washington, Dallas, LA via Connecticut, 1 through 4. 5 through 12, Phoenix, Seattle, Atlanta, Indiana, Chicago, Dallas via New York for the trade with Amanda Zahui B, and then Dallas via LA with the Raquana Williams, Aaron Phillips trade back on March 1st, followed by the Lynx at number 12 overall. So, Shorty, we pretty much knew at this point that the Stars were probably the most, or were and are and will be the most needy team so far in the 2017 draft. Of course, they get the top spot for the first time in either Utah and or San Antonio franchise history. Shorty, in your mind, how big is this for the Stars as they try to rebuild for the future, coming off a very, very dreadful 2016 season marred by injury problems and a lot of other things going on with San Antonio this season?
I think it was, most definitely a much-needed pick for them. They have been struggling for the past, a few years. So they now have the number one pick, and, they can do what they want. They can either take the best.
All right, so we had a minor technical problem there with Shorty. Again, folks trying to work some of these bugs out still during this course of time. But I guess, Marquez, you're the resident Stars fan. You write for the Stars, of course, with Anila and, of course, my main man, Steven Anderson. Marquez, in your mind, I know it's probably like the worst year, kind of, sort of, in some way, or at least like a bad year to get the number one spot. The Stars could have used this number one pick maybe last season, maybe a couple of seasons ago with how it's they have kind of treaded downwards the past couple of years. Marquez, what is your overall thoughts, though, on San Antonio landing the number one spot for this year's draft in your mind?
Yeah, like you said, it's kind of a down year to have that number one pick because, if you compare like the past number one picks in draft before, it's not exactly the same star power, but it allows them to be versatile in what they want to do. Best available, or they can go with a need, or maybe they can go and package it with something else that's already on the roster to get someone that's more established. I know during the lottery reveal, the host was trying to get Ruth to kind of say what she was going to do, but she really kept it close to this. So we'll just have to see.
So again, folks, the San Antonio Stars, the first time in either their Utah and or San Antonio history, they have captured the #1 draft pick. Again, they had the highest odds again at 447 or 442 chances out of the possible 1,000 to claim that top spot at this point. And again, Marquez, you kind of think back, and of course, over the offseason, we'll be going over each team. But I guess, Marquez, in your mind right now, as you think about it, what position, though, are the Stars needing the most help in your mind at this point?
Well, I'd say the most obvious answer is opposed, because, with Jana Pell, Marinelli retiring, that really leaves a void at that 5 position. And I know Kayla Alexander has stepped up, but I'm not quite sure if she'll be pushed into that starting role just yet. I think it'll really just depend on what's there. Then you can also say that a small forward is needed. I know they have Curry, but she is really their best option at that spot, and she's getting older. But in my opinion, I just think someone that can score in general, whether it be someone like Plum or Walker Kimbrough. I think the need is just someone that can put the ball in the basket consistently, because that's something that the team struggled with from all over the floor. 3, 2, it didn't really matter.
Folks, we are now joined in the hangout by Crystal Thomas, somewhere on the jam-packed California freeways, up somewhere in Long Beach or up in the LA area. Crystal, good to see you. Hopefully you enjoyed the first game between the Sparks and Sky. How's it going tonight?
I'm good. I actually didn't drive yet. I'm still at Long Beach Pyramid, but my bad. I had technical difficulties, but I figured it out. A little hungry, but good.
Well, don't worry. We're all battling technical bugs here at this point. So again, KT, off the bat once more. While you were probably on your way to the Pyramid at Cal State Long Beach tonight, of course, the draft lottery held during halftime of tonight's Minnesota-Phoenix game. The Stars get the pick for the first time in either Salt Lake City/Utah and or San Antonio franchise history, followed by the Mystics, Wings, and the Sparks via Connecticut. Crystal, overall thoughts, I guess, about the Stars getting the pick. Obviously, most needy team in the of course, was San Antonio, but of course, as Marquez said, though, kind of a down year, though, to kind of be picking first with, with somewhat of, very young, raw talent. Again, not really a star-studded class that we've had in recent years. Crystal, overall thoughts on the Stars getting that #1 spot, though, for the draft in April?
I think it's going to help them out a lot. I was actually on my way to the game when Marquez told me about them getting the #1 pick. And he has mixed feelings about it. But, I think it can help them depending on who they pick. If the Shields comes out, they're definitely going to probably pick the Shields. I mean, why would you pass it up, even though I'm not sure it would work very well for them? But you have to do what you have to do. So hopefully it can help the Stars franchise. They need help. I mean, they've went downhill since Becky retired.
And that's kind of been the problem or more so the talking point, I guess, MA and KT has been, when you lose a star player, either injuries or in this case, of course, Hammond retiring, that's a big blow for those young kids, of course, that are still developing, or they really not play without a true leader. So we've seen that the past couple years. But again, folks, the Stars get the #1 pick, followed by the Mystics, Wings, and Sparks via Connecticut, the top 4 spots in this year's draft. And Marquez, our good buddy Marquez, our good buddy Tom Mintz agrees with you. He says quality center and or post will be needed for the Stars in the overall draft. And he agrees as well with Crystal, saying they have gone downhill since Becky Hammond did step away and retire from the league. So again, folks, to reiterate once more, Stars, Mystics, Wings, LA via Connecticut 1 through 4, Merc, Storm, Dream, Fever, Sky, Wings, Lynx, the 1 through 12 order of the 2017 WNBA draft taking place in April next year, sometime in April of 2017. All right, guys, to the more important discussion, though, 2 WNBA playoff games this evening on the docket. Mercury and Lynx writing another chapter for their historic and what's been a very great WNBA rivalry as of late. All about Minnesota absolutely clobbering Phoenix tonight. 113-95, was not close at any point after the first quarter ending, guys. Tonight for the Mercury, talking points tonight, Diana Taurasi, 25 points. Brittany Griner with 16. Marta Chargai with 10. Dewana Bonner with 8. Sonja Petrovic also with 8. Candice Dupree and Lindsey Harding and Misty Bass all with 6 each. Penny Taylor with 4. Izzy Harrison also with 4. Kelsey Bone with 2. Alex Harden did not score and played 31 seconds of play tonight for Phoenix. For the Minnesota Lynx, all about Maya Moore. Red hot again, 31-point game for the Maya Clinic tonight. Lindsay Whalen chipped in 19, Sylvia Fowles with 16, Renee Montgomery with 11, Simone Augustus and Natasha Howard with 10 points each. Rebecca Brunson with 9. At this point, Anna Cruz with 5, Keisha Hampton with 2, Angia Perkins did not score in 13 minutes played. Genoma Carville was held out tonight. Coach's decision. The game played from the XL Energy Center in St. Paul, Minnesota. Total attendance tonight, 9,013 at a raucous X tonight in St. Paul. Time of the game, 2 hours and 2 minutes. The officials tonight were Roy Goldbean, Eric Bruton, and Tiffany Bird. 3 techs in the game, all on Minnesota. 5 times the lead changed. 5 times the game was tied. But Marquez, I'll start with you on this one. Even though it was, the lead changed all, those many times, this game was not even close to being close at any point in this ball game. I mean, it was after one quarter, but then Marquez, it was a complete whitewashing by Minnesota. 31-15 in that second quarter. 36 points in the third, while Phoenix put up 34. So really, Marquez, Minnesota came out and slugged the Mercury right in the mouth and popped him in the chin. A good one tonight. Marquez overall thoughts, dominant win from St. Paul over the X.
Well, for me, I think the main talking point is the rebounding advantage that the Lynx had. 38-20. Minnesota had 9 offensive rebounds alone compared to the 20 that overall rebounds that Phoenix got. And I think that's a turning point because Minnesota's got so many more opportunities. And it's not like Phoenix shot the ball terribly because, they shot 53%. But they turned it over a lot, and then they didn't get back when they did turn it over, and which just led to easy baskets on the other end for Minnesota. I'm not really quite sure how Phoenix will be able to adjust. They played a pretty good game overall. We just had no answer for Maya.
So again, Crystal, I know you probably missed all of this game, but again, Minnesota, this game was not close. This was a flat-out drubbing by Minnesota, of course, and we pretty much saw precursors of this, KT, in my mind, through their 3 games they played during the regular season. Now, Minnesota came out on top of all those games, including that blowout on opening night. And really, Crystal, it looked to me like the Mercury reverted back to old habits, back before the Olympic break of how they played and struggled in so many areas tonight. Crystal, overall thoughts, though, on Minnesota's romping of the Mercury tonight from the X in St. Paul?
You were correct. I did miss all of the game, but I did see that I believe it was, let me see here, the Leaks broke the regulations playoff scoring record today, that fouling that they did of the Mercury. And honestly, I'm not surprised this game went the way it was going. Do I think the Mercury are going to get swept? Probably not. Do I think they're going to win the series? No. And tonight kind of just proved it. It kind of just proved what I thought or what I think is going to happen. I didn't know about the 3 techs. That must have been interesting to see. I'm pretty sure one of those was Cheryl Reeves, and the other 2, I can't really imagine where they came from. But I don't know really. From the score, it looks like Phoenix had no defense whatsoever. You can't let a team like Minnesota do that to you. Once they get to a certain point, it's full sails ahead. They kind of just go and don't look back. But I really can't speak much about it because I didn't see the game because I was stuck in traffic. But from what I saw of the score, it kind of looks like Phoenix just got destroyed.
Marquez, again, like I just brought up as well, man, is, this looked like the Mercury reverting back, as I said, again, reverting back to how, to their old selves earlier in the earlier in the regular season with how it was, struggle bus. First 4 games were losses, either by big margins or small margins. And again, Marquez, I think that tonight there was a measuring stick for how good Minnesota is in regards to, of course, it doesn't matter if it's a 1-point lead or they're up by 100. Cheryl Reed will find a way to open up a can of you-know-what on her team in huddles and timeouts or whatnot. And she was, Crystal was right, she did pick up a tech in this ball game, leading to free throws late in the game. But again, Marquez, this game was not really close, I think. Yes, it may have been 24-23, but then you see that second quarter, it was a whole different Lynx team. And again, Phoenix, like I said, looked like they were playing like their old selves again, going back to how it was early first half of the season in general. Marquez, I guess, final takeaway for Phoenix, at least in this ball game, with them again getting crushed in the mouth again tonight by Minnesota over in St. Paul.
We've got to look at how Minnesota played on both ends. They were relentless on the defensive end, pressuring, and Phoenix was able to figure it out in a way because I remember seeing how they got some backdoor cuts and passes which led to somebody else. But other than that, they kind of had a hard time. Even at one point, when Minnesota was making their run and Phoenix was just going for.
So again, Crystal, I think with Phoenix in this case right now is, this game is going to be in their heads for a bit again because they were pretty much crushed tonight like a Bud Light can pretty much in 113-95. And we knew, though, that, Phoenix, whether they were lucky enough to get into postseason, that they weren't going to go very far. And, of course, they probably exceeded our expectations of getting to round two. But again, Crystal, this probably is a precursor to how things could probably be, though, for them in game two, maybe game three, if they get to game four, perhaps, over in Phoenix. But I guess, Crystal, final thoughts on Phoenix, at least in this ball game, again, taking a pretty big blow tonight with that loss.
You know what? I think taking a loss that big to defending champions, I think it kind of does a little something to your confidence. But we will see if Phoenix can bounce back. They do have a future Hall of Famer in Donna Taurasi on their team and another one in Penny Taylor. So I'm not saying that they possibly will make a comeback in this series, but I'm just saying, you can't count those two out, especially when they have those two on their team. So it's all just seeing if they can get their focus back and seeing where it goes from there.
Some thoughts from Todd Mintz in the chat box. He says Phoenix and Chicago will have to try to win these games getting up and down the floor. In regards to the game, Dupree, Taylor, and Bonner all have to step up or this ends in 3 games. He also goes on to say, except for Griner, they cannot match up in a half-court game. You have to run where all those players like Brunson, Howard, Fouls, etc. in a 1.5 court defense will dominate and frustrate Phoenix, and they will take them out of their offensive games. Folks, we're joined at the Hangout by Tanisha Stewart, joining us here again from Los Angeles. So again, Shorty, a game that was not even close, as I've already touched base on. A game where it looked like it was, again, Minnesota playing well like they have all year, and the Mercury reverting back to old habits of how they struggled out of the gate to start the season. Shorty, final thoughts on the Lynx blowing out the Mercury tonight from St. Paul?
Yeah, quickly, sorry for the technical difficulties, but on to the game. I mean, it was just an onslaught, of the Phoenix Mercury. I mean, during, the first quarter, they came out, hot, did everything well. They were making their shots. They were moving the ball. They were moving the ball pretty well. That's why they ended up with 27 assists overall. But it's their first unit is always good, savvy veterans. But it's that second unit that always does the trick for Minnesota. They came in and their game plan was to deny everyone the ball, and it pretty much worked throughout the game, and also bring in the defensive pressure, because when it came in, I mean, that's where the blowout began, and they outscored the Mercury 31-15 in the second quarter. And because of that, the Mercury couldn't recover. I mean, they went into a zone right after, but the Lynx definitely had an answer for that, and that was simply to move the ball, find open seams, within the zone, and they pretty much got shots out of that zone, and they still got to the paint, just shredding up the zone. So the Mercury didn't have an answer, afterwards, and that was pretty much the story of the game. And the Lynx just scoring a league in playoff high record, 113 points. That's definitely insane, but it was against pretty much a non-defensive effort, by the Mercury.
So again, folks, in game one of the first WNBA semifinal series, matchup Lynx crush the Mercury 113-95, a new playoff record set for scoring in a single game with 113 points put up by the Lynx tonight over PHX. Last game for the night, guys, the Sky and Sparks in a intra-conference semifinal matchup. Los Angeles also romping Chicago 95-75 for their 4th win over the Sky this season, including the 3 regular season matchups. For the Chicago Sky without Elena Deldon because of her injured thumb, Jamira Faulkner 13 points, Cappy Pondexter with 12, Tamara Young with 11, and Courtney Vandersloot with 10. Allie Quigley held the 7. Imani Boyette with 6 was also in foul trouble tonight this evening. Jessica Breland, Erica DeSouza, Cheyenne Parker, and Carissa Dos Santos all with 4 points. And, of course, Elena Deldon and Benai Jelani both being Deldon due to her injured thumb and Laney, DNP, torn ACL earlier this year. And there's also talk, folks, and confirmed Deladon at this point doubtful for Game 2 against LA. For the LA Sparks, a 57-point onslaught combined between both Batman and Batman. Candace Parker with 30 points, Nneka Ogwumike with 27. Also, of course, was given a very good ovation prior to the game for her winning the 2016 WNBA MVP. Jantel Lavender with 12 off the bench. KT, Chrissy Tolliver with 10. Chelsea Gray with 9. Essence Carson, Elena Beard, and On Waters all with 2. And Sandrine Grudo held the 1 point from the free throw line late in the ball game. Ana Dabovic, Evgenia Belikova, and Jelena Dublovic did play but did not score in tonight's contest. The game played from the Walter Pyramid on the campus of Cal State Long Beach in Long Beach, California. Total attendance tonight, well, our friends in Minnesota were right. 3,894. Time of the game, 2 hours and 2 minutes. The officials tonight were Michael Price, Cheryl Flores, and Tom Maurer. One lead change in 6 times. The game was tied. And Shorty, we pretty much talked about this last night on the program. Eric talked about this. We all touched base that it was good, that pretty much Chicago, without Deladon, is running and did run into a buzzsaw tonight with the Sparks, of course. They get 57 combined points from both a red-hot Candace Parker and a scorching-hot Nneka Ogwumike tonight, who both played out of their minds. And Shorty, I think that at this point that this was, in fact, a buzzsaw that Chicago ran into. Of course, Deladon's absence does not help Chicago in the series. Shorty, overall final takeaway from the game tonight, starting off first with Chicago playing without EDD tonight, perhaps as well, without her as well in Game 2 on Friday night.
It definitely became a factor, especially in this game. Even though I don't think with the way LA was playing, I still think LA would have gotten the victory regardless. But with EDD, I think it would have been a bit closer than what it was tonight. I mean, this too was pretty much an onslaught. So both game ones, ended up in a blowout. And that's due to the fact that, what was working for Chicago against Atlanta, LA was having none of it, none of it at all. Beard did a pretty great job, limiting Courtney Vandersloot. Sloot definitely didn't have the same game against LA as she had against Atlanta. She had 10 points, overall, and Boyette definitely found herself in foul trouble early, and that was, I think, one of the matchups that I did, bring up was, the post game matchup between Parker Ogwumike and Boyette and Breland, and as I predicted, LA definitely won that matchup there because. Again, Boyette quickly found herself in foul trouble. No one couldn't guard Ogwumike. They tried Breland, they tried Boyette, De Souza, even threw the kitchen sink at her, and that definitely didn't work. Ogwumike was just out of this world, man. 27 points, 10 rebounds, and this sort of mirrored, the first game where both teams were sort of equal in the first quarter, but then that second quarter for LA, 30-15, and it was pretty much the story there. They just blew the chains off the game, but hopefully, possibly in the next game, Chicago can get more consistent scores. Out.
So Marquez again, Los Angeles wins by 20, 95-75 in a game much like the first game tonight was not really close after the first quarter ended. Again, LA threw up 30 in that second quarter. Chicago only mustered 15 points. But again, Marquez, starting with Chicago, I guess, and again, like I said, this is pretty much they've run into a buzzsaw here without Elena Deladon. It's probably going to be the thing that's going to be probably the biggest talking point of the season is, if and when she will come back. Is it going to be too little too late? Again, Marquez, overall thoughts on Chicago's side of the story, at least here with this matchup, again, with them going down by 20 to Los Angeles.
Yeah, they were just overmatched. But, I mean, even with Deladon over the course of the season, Chicago still struggles with LA. It's just not a good matchup for them. Um, and tonight we saw how LA just won the battle down low because I mean Boyette picking up those two quick fouls. It that didn't help them at all. So I mean, he's their most mobile and athletic defender and biggest. So it was just like once that happened, it kind of went downhill from there. Or you can see how easily LA was scoring down there. But I just think you got to give props to Mecca, Candace, and Chantel for their contributions, especially Mecca and Candace.
So again, Crystal, you were there. You can vouch better than any of us can. Of course, I was watching the game from my couch tonight, this evening. But again, you know, a game that was close for one quarter. But again, the bigger and better team, of course, KT runs away with the game. LA wins by 20. Again, 57 combined points between both Candace Parker and Neko Ogumake. Crystal, you were there. Overall final thoughts on the win for LA tonight to go up 1-0 in the series?
It was a good win. The players were very light. You could see that they really worked hard, and I mean things were a little shaky. Obviously, that's what happens when you haven't played, a game in almost 2 weeks. But they picked it up. There was no point in the game at all when I was nervous. I didn't see any nervousness from the players. I didn't see any nervousness from the bench. I mean, they just came out and played good basketball today. I mean, there was a couple of things that could have been better, like some of the turnovers. But again, I think that all happens because when you haven't been playing against a team for 2 weeks, I mean, your time is going a little bit off. But overall, I mean, it was a good game. I was impressed. It's looking really good for LA. I see what they do on Friday at Staples Center because this hour drive is for the. But I think it's a good game. I mean, I saw smiling faces all across the board, which is good. Yeah, they're enjoying themselves right now.
Some comments, folks, and reaction from the game from Todd Mintz. He says the fact is Boyette hurt her team with 2 fouls at set the tone early, making her come out. Candace came out hot, something much needed for her to send a message that she's still the old Candace Parker. Also says that the Sky will have to push tempo. They have to get back to more of a scrambling defense, even risking a few mismatches. They have to try and cut and outwork and force NECA from having a free lane to get inside for her easy baskets. Also wanted to point out that LA's defense was not that good. Mine was decent, but Chicago was a lot of make a couple shots. They made versus ATL. They can't make many changes. They just have to make more shots and try and force more turnovers and run off those turnovers. They maybe can steal game 2 in Los Angeles. But again, folks, to recap the games from tonight once more, Lynx pounding the Mercury 113-95, and then the Sparks buzzsaw the Sky 95-75, both those games finals. And both the Sparks and Lynx go up 1-0 in the best 3 of 5 playoff series for the WNBA postseason. With that, folks, a look ahead now to games 2 of the series. And again, they'll both be played on Friday night at 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock. And again, folks, like normal, both games will be played on ESPN News due to Friday night conflicts with the game schedules, of course, with either college football or Major League Baseball going on. So ESPN News telecasts for the 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock games. Market Links at 5 o'clock from St. Paul. Sparks and Sky back in LA at Staples Center at 7 o'clock. And again, both games relegated to ESPN News. Guys, we're on the perimeter and ask real quick. Shorty, which team facing in deficit has the most pressure on them in your mind? The Mercury or the Sky, and why?
I would say the Mercury, just because the margin, the point margin of loss, that they suffered in game 1. So they're definitely going to have to tighten up some things when it comes to game 2.
All right, so Marquez, Shorty's going to go with the Mercury facing the most pressure. Who do you have facing the most pressure in game 2, and why? Chicago or PHX?
Probably Phoenix, because I feel like out of Phoenix and Chicago, they actually have the better chance of perhaps stealing a game, in my opinion. But I mean, it's not like a major advantage. But I think if they want to steal a game, they're gonna have to do it now instead of like extending the series, because I don't think they'll be able to beat them. But I think if they were to just come out and play better defensively and perhaps get Griner going more so than what she did tonight, then I think they'd have a chance to win. Not saying they will win, but I think it'll be closer to the second game.
All right, Crystal. So two panel members are going with the Mercury facing the most adversity and pressure. Who do you think is facing the most pressure in your mind, and why?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to go with Phoenix. I mean, Chicago, they've only been there once before, but even then they weren't ready for what was in front of them. Whereas Phoenix, you look at them and they're supposed to be in the finals this year. Everybody goes to the finals this year. So anything less than the finals for Phoenix would be a major disappointment to their season. I mean, they barely made the playoffs as it is, and they just got manhandled by Minnesota. So I think Phoenix it's definitely them.
Yeah, all in favor, guys. Definitely Phoenix, and as Crystal brought up, of course, the ever-going argument, of course, that we always hear, about the Mercury being picked as the favorites for the championship. As we said, they barely get in the back door, so by far Phoenix facing the most adversity and pressure for Game 2. But again, folks, as a reminder, Game 2 of both series will tip off tomorrow, or on Friday, I should say. Mercury and Lynx at 5 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock Eastern, and then the Sky and Sparks from Staples Center in downtown LA at 7 o'clock. Both games, again, folks, will be on ESPN News on Friday, again, due to either high school football, college football, or Major League Baseball games being shown on ESPN and or ESPN2. A quick clarification, folks, that Shorty and I were able to confer with last night, and actually I was able to reconfirm today, but guys, Game 3 in Phoenix will be played at Talking Sea Resort Arena. Shorty, it'll be Game 4 if need be. That's going to be moved out of TSRA. That game, folks, will be moved to Grand Canyon University in the Phoenix area on October 4th. If, in fact, the Mercury and Lynx get to Game 4 at this point due to a concert being held at Talking Sea Resort Arena. So, again, Game 3 will be played at TSRA. I believe Shorty and I kind of got misconstrued. But, again, Game 3 will be played on Sunday, October 2nd at TSRA. Game 4, if need be, will be played at Grand Canyon University in the suburban Phoenix area at this point in time, just to kind of update you on my situation at this point in time. A quick question real quick, guys, from Todd Mintz, who's waiting to go back and talk a little bit more about the Merc and Link series. Shorty, we'll start with you around this. He wants to ask and get your take. Do you believe that Sylvia Fowles, to some degree, is in the head and or in your mind, intimidate Brittany Griner in your mind? Yes or no, or what do you think?
I wouldn't necessarily say, she intimidates, Griner, because Griner was quoted saying that, she encourages the matchup against her and Sylvia because she feels like, finally she has a player, near her same, height. So she encourages and embraces the challenge. It's just that, when it comes to the matchup, Fowles so far has won, in these recent series against BG. So I don't think BG is intimidated. She encourages the matchup, but it's just that Fowles has been getting the advantage in their matchup so far.
So again, Marquez, to answer Todd's question once more, do you believe that Sylvia Fowles gets in the head and or intimidates Brittany Griner in your mind? What do you think?
She may get in her head, but I wouldn't go as far to say that she intimidates her, because I mean, BG really has no reason to be intimidated by her, because like Shorty said, they're the same as BG said, they're the same size, and Shorty had said that she looks forward to the matchup. So it's kind of like, I mean, I just think when it comes down to that matchup, Sylvia has just gotten the best of her so many times. I think that can mess with your confidence a little bit, no matter even if you say that, oh, I get up for it. But I wouldn't say she's intimidated. I mean, because I just have a hard time seeing why she should be.
So, Crystal, two votes are sort of against the argument here, but again, it's a generic question once more. Do you believe that Sylvia Fowles gets in the head or sometimes intimidates Griner in your mind? Yes or no? What do you think?
Nah, I don't think so. I don't think she intimidates Griner. I think she gets the best of Griner, but I don't think it's intimidation. I think it's just, she's been in the game longer. She understands it more. Her IQ is probably a little bit better. A little bit more physical than Griner. Coming out of college, Griner has never really been the physical type. She's mostly just relied on her athletic ability. But I think that's why she's winning the matchup. I mean, Sylvia Fowles is not afraid to go get in there and get her hands dirty to play some basketball.
All right, so good question asked by Todd Mintz from the chat box about the potential intimidation factor amongst the matchup between Sylvia Fowles and also between Brittany Griner as well. Some other news, guys, to get to tonight. We do have another award to announce this evening, and another one going to the LA Sparks. Jantel Lavender named the 2016 WNBA 6th Woman of the Year this year. Shorty, sometimes when a player of Lavender's calendar is told that she's gonna come off the bench, in a number of sports they may throw hissy fits, they may ask to be catered or whatnot. But Shorty, the Iron Woman herself, really embraced that role coming off the bench and really led a very, very high-octane second unit off the bench, and, of course, very deserving of that award. Shorty, overall final thoughts and take about Jantel Lavender being named the WNBA's 6th Woman of the Year for the 2016 season in your mind.
Yeah, she was clearly, the favorite to win the award, and she did just that. And, I wasn't surprised, coming from J-Lab, because she has always been the type of person that is willing to work hard, regardless of what, position, whether she is a starter or with the second unit. She's always willing to come in and do what she needs to do in order to help the team succeed. So when she was relegated to the bench, this year, she didn't feel any sort of way about it. She didn't feel like it was a demotion or whatever the case may be. She embraced it, and she flourished, in her role of coming off the bench, because again, this wasn't her first time. Since she was drafted in 2011, she came off the bench, and even though she had last year an all-star year, like I said, she was willing to do whatever she needed to do for the team, and she did just that, and that's why she was awarded 6th Woman of the Year.
So again, Marquez, Jantel Lavender now joins Nneka Ogwumike as award winners for the LA Sparks. Perhaps another one could be going to the LA Sparks and Brian Agler, who could perhaps be named Coach of the Year this year. So Marquez, again, like I said, sometimes in sports, college level, even high school level, pro sometimes, when you're told that you're going to be having a reduced role or a different role, 9 times out of 10, players get fed up, they get pissed off and upset and don't want to embrace that role. They kind of, sort of in a way kind of crawl up into a ball and cry about it. Well, in this case, Marquez, Jantel Lavender took that role, embraced it, and really led a dynamic secondary unit for the Sparks off the bench. Really very deserving of the award. Marquez, final takeaway and thoughts about Jantel Lavender being named 6th Woman of the Year for the 2016 season.
Yeah, she was the favorite because, basically any other team in the league she'd be starting on. But it just goes to show how selfless and how committed she is to winning, because like you said, she could have gotten mad and she could have thrown a fit, but she didn't. She accepted her role and she made the best of it, and that's why she got awarded.
So again, Crystal, that's now 2 player awards on the individual stage going to the Sparks again. Potentially going to have a third one going to their head coach, but of course, as we already know, Crystal, the ultimate goal, of course, and at this point is a likely possibility. At this point, of course, is the WNBA title. The third in team history would be the first in 2002. But again, Crystal, the individual awards are one thing, though, still to talk about. It is a pretty good talking point. But I guess, Crystal, your overall thoughts on Lav taking home 6th Woman of the Year for the 2016 season?
That's how you know she loves her team. Lav could have re-signed anywhere. What was that, last year, 2 years ago? I think it was last year when she was a free agent. She chose to come back to LA, and that just shows you right there that she's in it for more than just being a starter or more than just being a star player. She really wants to win, and obviously this year it's showing. Look how far they are. Look where they are right now. Look how far they probably will get. So that just lets you know how great of a player Lav is, and I respect and I love players like Lav. They don't care if they start. They don't care if they don't play a single second. As long as they are helping their team win, as long as they're impacting the game, then they're okay with it.
So again, folks, that's 2 awards now for the LA Sparks in regards to player achievement. Of course, Nneka Ogwumike named MVP. Got her award tonight from League President Lisa Borders, and also as well, Jantel Lavender named 6th Woman of the Year as well tonight. So that's now 2 awards for the Sparks, and perhaps, like I said, a third one perhaps as well for head coach Brian Agler, perhaps sometime in the future for potential WNBA Coach of the Year. Well, guys, it would not be a network show in the postseason without us again bringing up the old antidote and to use a Aerosmith reference, folks, the old broken big 10-inch record argument. Todd into the chat box says, guys, we have to make a point. on this case in regards to the Mercury moving the potential fourth game of their series to Grand Canyon University. He says their arena holds 7,000 people. Again, maybe they had no alternative. But again, by not being able to go elsewhere locally, they're going to be losing a lot of money at the gate, because the Mercury always get between 8,000 or 9,000 fans a game. Now, Shorty, again, I reconfirmed this with the TSRA website again. They are going to play Game 3 at home at the Purple House, but again, Game 4 has been moved to Grand Canyon due to a concert being held on October 4th, the next night of the series, should in fact any series or their series get to Game 4 at this point. And I also did check, too, at Gila River Arena, home of the NHL's Arizona Coyotes. No events were going on the night where they had to reschedule the game. There was no Coyotes games going on or concerts. And, of course, the Veterans Memorial Coliseum, the old home of the Suns, also was still open. So, again, Shorty, I know that we have talked about this the past couple nights, but, again, it still is somewhat of a talking point. But, again, this is sort of, though, getting a bit redundant, though, that we have to once again, in a way, sort of bring up these issues again, because, there's really nothing that we could do or that the teams can do, of course, when there's bigger and better events, booting them out of their home arenas. But again, Shorty, overall thoughts on another game moving to a college venue this time, not to another local nearby arena, as we've already seen with the Lynx list going from Target Center to the XL Energy Center.
Yeah, so glad that you brought up the clarification, and pretty much they are getting displaced for a Sia concert. So that's yes, that's pretty interesting to know. But Marquez sound like you want to go.
I love me some Sia, man. I like cheap thrills.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, it's just, again, these things continue to come up, and once again, there's something that can pretty much be done about it. As you brought up, Callan, it was pretty interesting that they didn't go to any of the nearby, arenas, and why they chose, GCU. But it could be possible of other events that may be coming up, or if not, maybe the Mercury organization just wanted to pick, somewhere, I wouldn't say is nearby necessarily, but just they had a first choice basically of what they wanted to do and where they wanted to play at, and they picked GCU for the time being. So I guess that's everyone's answer right there.
I'll give you one good reason why this game's at GCU, Shorty, Marquez, and KT. My man, Thunder Dan Marley from the Suns, coaches at GCU for the men's basketball team. It's probably like the only reason why they even went to GCU anyway at this point. But again, Marquez, concert coming in at TSRA. I also had looked over at the Coliseum and Gila River Arena. No events going on there. So again, they're going to elect to go to a Division II university. Marquez, what was wrong with either U of A or even ASU? Probably perhaps with volleyball, maybe football games going on nearby. But again, Marquez, overall thoughts on yet again another game being moved out of a home venue due to booking problems and or other events going on?
I mean, I just think, like you said, it just goes to show the bigger events that would probably make more money for the arena than that would. And it's unfortunate because the Mercury themselves are losing out on money, but I think when it comes to just venue changes, it's just something that you just have to deal with and just work around.
So again, Crystal, 3,800 and change in the house at the Pyramid. Of course, one section pretty much barricaded off, which was the student section, I believe, behind one of the hoops at the Pyramid tonight. So again, we're going to see another game, Crystal, being held at another college venue. But again, there was nothing going on at Gila River Arena in nearby Glendale, home of the Coyotes. Nothing going on at the Arizona Veterans Memorial Coliseum. And I would probably assume volleyball going on at either U of A or Arizona State University, where they probably could have played this game too. But so they go to a Division II campus in Grand Canyon, now a Division I, I should say. Brain fart, of course, they moved up to the Big West Conference last year, or to a D1 level at least. But again, Crystal, I know it's kind of getting old, and I know we've talked about it the past couple nights. But again, Crystal, especially when the playoffs run this late in the season, when you're going up against college volleyball or other college sports that are going on inside at arenas, going up against preseason NHL hockey games, baseball playoffs or whatnot, it's tough to find airtime and even find time to book your games at your home venues. But I guess, Crystal, any final thoughts on the broken record argument that we have touched base on the past few nights here, in a few weeks, I should say, too, on the network?
I mean, the thoughts are pretty much the same. You know, they treat the WNBA like an afterthought. But I mean, they're able. The good thing is, I guess they still have an arena to play in. It sucks that it's not their own, but you know, the fact that they're lending the Grand Canyon University for them, maybe it will, you know, show loyalty and fans coming out, and hopefully it's not, you know, 2-3 hours away like Long Beach is for a lot of people, which is why I think the numbers are so low today. But I mean, it does suck, but you know, again, what can we really do about it?
So again, Todd, thanks for bringing it up, man. I didn't want to sound like I was being, mean or upset at you, but again, we have talked about this plenty of times, and obviously the Mercury will be taking a pretty big ding on that game check in regards to fans not being able to make that game. But again, folks, as a reminder to clarify once more, Game 4, if need be, will be played at Grand Canyon University, not at TSRA, due to the again a concert coming in to the building where they will be playing, where they were supposed to play Game 4. They will, though, be playing Game 3 at TSRA, then going and moving to Grand Canyon University for Game 4, if in fact they even get there at this point in time. But again, folks, to reiterate the scores tonight once more, Lynx over the Mercury, 113.95, a new record set by the Mercury, the Lynx, for most points scored in a regulation playoff game. And then the Sparks buzzsaw the Sky, 95-75. As a reminder, 2 games on Friday, Merc and Lynx, Game 2 of that series at 5 o'clock Pacific time on ESPN News. Sky and Sparks also on Friday at 7 o'clock from Staples Center, also on ESPN News as well at this point in time. At this point, guys, again, great job by the team tonight, but I guess, Shorty, give us your overall final thoughts, though, on both of the opening games for the league semifinals between the Lynx and Merc and the Sky and Sparks.
Final thoughts, there were, 2 good games on, even though they eventually ended up in blowouts still. It was great to finally see the semifinals round kicked off in this new playoff format. And, just big numbers by both the Lynx and Sparks. Again, getting big blowout wins, and it'll be interesting to see what, the 2 teams, Mercury and Sky, what they will do and what changes they will make headed into Game 2 on Friday.
I'm just glad that we're not playing one and done now here, and we're sitting around for another 5 days waiting for the finals to start. But I guess, Marquez, obviously 2 games are probably a bit tough to watch on the eyes with those final scores. MA, overall final thoughts and takeaways from both first games tonight to kick off the league semifinals in your mind. All right, so Marquez dealing with some minor technical problems, so we'll go to Crystal. KT, obviously you were at the first game between the Sparks and Sky, and obviously missed that romping in St. Paul tonight. But I guess, Crystal, overall final thoughts on the opening first games, at least, for the league semifinals in your mind.
Well, if you're fans of the Lynx and the Sparks, you enjoyed it. If you're fans of the Mercury and Sky, you hated it. And I mean, to put it plain and simple, that's pretty much what it was. I mean, I think the games will get better. I mean, I enjoyed the games. But I mean, I guess that's pretty much it. I mean, if you're a fan of the 2 teams that lost, you probably went home disappointed today.
So again, folks, once more for your final time tonight, your final scores in the opening games of the semifinals: Lynx 113, Mercury 95, Sparks 95, Chicago Sky 75. As a reminder, once more, both games on Friday on ESPN News, not on ESPN2, so find ESPN News or watch ESPN for those 2 games as well. And Todd just wanted to say, he wanted to just kind of say that he initiated that comment. He admits that it's still, for him at least, is worth mentioning about the, again, games being moved out of home venues. Obviously, we've talked about that plenty of times on the network, but again, not much else to do there. And he also wanted to say thanks to everyone for another great show. Hopefully it was for you folks. We apologize for the minor technical problems we had the other night on our program. Hopefully, again, get those worked out for you folks to come back bigger and better on Friday. We'll be off tomorrow night due to college soccer for me tomorrow night. Until then, folks, on Friday, for Crystal Thomas, Marquez Anderson, and Denisha Stewart, this is Cal McClurg signing off tonight from Studio 171 in San Diego. Hopefully, folks, enjoyed Game 1. Game 2 is coming back at you on a freaky, fresh, funky Friday edition of our program following the 2 games on Friday back here. Same bat time, same bat channel, with the same bat people in this hangout, and the same bat person, our man Top Minutes, in our chat box. So, folks, take care and good night and bye-bye.